What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Why? Well, members get exclusive content. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you'll receive a notification every time that I drop a video, and you can go and check the video out. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Let's get into it. This story takes us once again to High Desert State Prison. Very volatile and violent. Many indiscretions and transgressions happened while I was there in High Desert. I was up there for 7 full years on a level 4 the entire time. And it was hard. It was vicious. And in this situation, an OG homie was up there in High Desert. This just transpired recently, well, last year. And this OG homie, he is known as the Hoover General. You can imagine then how much clout he has, how much respect he has. Every Hoover, young and old, has heard his name. Many opposition, young and old, has heard his name. He's been incarcerated for some time, and at least for some time, he was indeed the general. You can argue that he still is. And this Hoover General was known to have a propensity for violence. Particularly, it seemed like he was prone to violence against other Hoovers. There in Lancaster State Prison some time ago, while homie was lying down, bench pressing, he hit him upside the head with a weight and then stabbed him. He was known for stabbing multiple homies, to the point where some people were beginning to question, is he with us or against us? But the thing is, he's just strongly political. He does not believe in transgressing against any rule or protocol. So he's very devout and a stickler for the rules. And if anyone violates them or flouts them, even if he's a Hoover, he tends to get on him and serve a correction. This is the circumstances onto which a dude from Denver Lane hit the yard. Now, the OG homie, the Hoover General that was on the yard at this time, he even formed a certain clique amongst the Hoovers. And this clique, well, I'm not going to get into it. It's really no one's business. They move stealthily. They move in the wee hours of the morning by themselves, and they take care of business. And he's indeed the shot caller here on the yard. Hell, he's a shot caller, period. That's just what it is. And the dude from DL hits the yard, and he has Hoover crossed out on his face. Now, other gangbangers have hit a prison yard and have the opposition hood crossed out all over their body. They're gangbanging. They're on the streets gangbanging. They got these tattoos on the street or in prison. Oftentimes it's on their back, on their chest, on their arms. And they're not walking around in front of the other gang's face with their hood blocked up and crossed out. This is going to cause irritation and aggravation for anyone. Now, when it's on your face, obviously you can't hide it. I've been asked the question many a time, what is going to happen to Crip Mac because he has opposition's hood, has Hoover crossed out and whatever else on his face? I cannot necessarily speak to Crip Mac's situation. I'm not overly familiar with the federal system and their politics. I can't speak about California prison state politics, and evidenced by this situation, should you hit a California prison yard, a level 4, and you have someone's hood blocked up on your face and is crossed out, you can expect to get into a situation, because no one wants you walking around them with their hood crossed out. It's like you marking them out. It's like you're saying they're busters. I'm gonna walk around you with your hood crossed out all on my face, and you ain't gonna do nothing about it. That may fly with some people, and in some prisons, and in some situations, and with some cars, and with some factions. But it's not going to fly with this particular car, this particular faction, and with these particular people that were on the yard. So Denver Lane hits the yard, and he has Hoover tattooed on his face. But it's crossed out, it's blocked up. He got it crossed out, a big old HK, a big old Hoover killer. What to do? Well, the so-called general, he catches wind of this, that this guy has just hit the yard and he has a disrespectful tattoo parading on his face. Everyone knew at that juncture things were about to go awry. Because again, the person in question is prone to violence of all sorts. He has plenty of power, and he has many people looking up to him and want to prove themselves to him. They're going to jump at the opportunity to demolish the dude from Denver Lane right in front of him. They want to pulverize him for being so disrespectful. The dude from Denver Lane was walking around the yard there in High Desert for a little while, and he had protection. He had security. Why would he have security? Well, because he is probably feeling the heat. He knows who he's on the yard with, and I'm assuming he knows that this is not going to fly. These dudes are going to try to get me, but he's not about to roll it up. He can't roll it up and go to another yard. You can't, that's PCing up. You got to stand there and take the heat, whatever the situation is. You got it tattooed on your face. Now, some may ask, well, how come the Hoovers didn't just attack him while he was walking with his security? I don't know the answer to that. It could be, though, because, if he has beefy security, a lot of security, then you can end up attacking them and never get to him. And he's the target. And so they were just waiting and biding their time, were the Hoovers, waiting to catch him without his formidable security. But every time he walked the yard, the Damus, aka the Bloods, at least from his faction, was with him. Certainly they had knives and were prepared. They were protecting him. They knew, they understood what his tattoo represented, and that eventually these dudes are going to try to attack him. So they were watching his back. And the Hoovers never really had a chance, as far as they were concerned, to get up on him and get him the way that they wanted to. So again, they waited and just bided their time, hoping and waiting for him to slip up, get comfortable, and make an ill-advised move. And then they were going to jump. Not long after, the Hoovers were having these machinations, congregating, plotting and planning on how and when to catch this guy and send a strong message. He got caught slipping right by the canteen behind the wall by his lonesome. He was by himself, had left his security, or his security had left him. They can't go with you everywhere. They're on the yard. They can walk with you around the yard, in the day room, in the building. But if you have to go behind the wall to the program office, you go to visit, you go to the canteen, you're back there by yourself, or you might have a homie back there with you or whatever, but you can't say, hey, all of y'all come back here with me. The police is not going to allow that. So you can get caught slipping in those situations, in such a scenario. And that's what happened with him. Of course, he could have said, I'm just not going to go to the canteen. I'm not going to get caught slipping by myself. But again, maybe he's not a coward. He's not a buster. I'm going to get my canteen. I ain't finna PC up. I ain't worried about nothing. I'm about to go get my canteen. So he went back there by himself to get his canteen. And lo and behold, here comes 3 or 4 Hoovers. They found out that he was going back there to get his canteen, and that he would be back there with 1 or 2 other people protecting him. And they figured that would not be enough. And so they surreptitiously moved on him. They got behind the wall and they had big weapons because the call had been made to brutalize him for his disrespectful tattoo and for parading it around the yard as if the Hoovers were some puppies instead of some big dogs. They got behind the wall and they approached him stealthily. He didn't see what was coming. He was not on alert as he should have been, knowing that there is tension on the yard because of this face tattoo that he bears. By the time he turned around, the Hoovers were already upon his person, attacking him with weapons. They stabbed him multiple times. 15, 16, 17 times. He lied there on the ground, seeking help, begging, beseeching, imploring for medical attention. They finally came and got to him and airlifted him out of there. They had to take him by helicopter to the hospital because he was barely hanging on to his life. He did survive, from my understanding. And they did get some of the Hoovers that were involved, and they went to the hole, and they're sitting in the shoe right now as we speak. But there was not a war or anything over that. However, there was some fallout, which I will get into. The Damus, of course, were not happy. The Bloods were not happy about this. None of them. They were upset because they felt like they should have had better security on him. And they also felt like maybe the Hoovers had went too far with how much and to what strength they attacked him. That it was too vicious that they didn't have to do him like that. But you all know that when it's war or when it's on or when someone feels disrespected, their faction, their section, their car feels their hood that they represent and have been prepared to die for decades. When said hood is disrespected and shitted upon, then the particular section takes umbrage and they want to send a message. And that's essentially what happened here. And again, that's what I'm not going to get into any names. Figure it out. He got hit, and the reason he got hit was because he had a disrespectful tattoo that was crossed out on his face, blocked up on his forehead, where these dudes had to see it every day. It was too much for them to bear. And so a hit was put on him, and it was carried out. And again, there was some fallout over this. I'm not condoning any of this. I'm just bringing you the story. The situation. I'm past this, but this is prison. And this is how it happens. So think about that when you out here turned up and getting all these tattoos because you out here in your hood with your homies. You have to think of a situation in a time where you will not be with them, even on the street. And the hood that you have on your face crossed out, you may run into 1, 2, or 3 of them. And there's no explaining in that sort of situation. No one wants to hear it. They're just going to attack you. Again, people have disrespectful hoods or they have disrespectful tattoos. Gangbangers do inside of prison, of course. I've seen all kinds of stuff. My homies have disrespectful tattoos all over their damn bodies. But if you have it on your face, don't ask me what the difference is. Don't ask me why it's okay to have it on your body and not your face. Ask everybody that's in prison. That's just what the politics are. At least if it's on your body, you can have it covered up. But if it's on your face, again, people have to see this every time they see you. And if it's blocked up big on your face, they really can't, turn a blind eye to it. They're going to see it whether they want to or not. And for many people, it's just too much. So I'm not telling you not to get any tattoos. Just understand that when you do, and you're disrespecting someone's hood, there will be repercussions at some juncture. Typically, that is the way that it goes. He hit the yard there in High Desert. Perhaps he could have survived on a different yard with different people and different politics with the same tattoo. It's not mandatory, because there are people that have had, I've seen tattoos on their face and they were still able to walk the yard. So it's not necessarily a rule or a protocol. It depends on that section, that card, that faction, that shot caller, how they want to handle it. Some will say, okay, we got disrespectful tattoos too. It's all good. And some are going to want to respond just like this and attack you. There's a situation, and it's funny how one story oftentimes leads to another. Because now I'm going to bring you the story of the Hoover general in question that stabbed the homie on the weight pile that I was just talking about. I'll bring you that. I'll also bring you a story that just came to mind now about a homie that was there in Centinela from Trouble Gangster. Trouble. But when the Trouble and the Hoovers were recently beefing, he had Hoover crossed out on his face. And it went up over that right there in Centinela. I'll bring you that as well. So these tattoos, they sometimes can be detrimental to your person if you're not careful. That's what happened there in High Desert. Be careful what you do and why you do it. I'd like to take this time to thank everyone who has supported me and supported the channel from the beginning. Thank all of my members, and thank the Go Up and Stay Free People movement. We're going to take it to another level, and it's coming soon, I promise you. Y'all hanging there with me, continue to support me. Leave a comment, like the videos, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'll be back. As you can see, I'm on it. Oh yeah, I'll be back. And in the meantime, stay free, people.